Matt Brown, and I'm a Chicago guitarist and guitar teacher. And a friend of mine suggested that I film just a bunch of lessons on kind of like popular, iconic guitar solos and kind of break down some of the ideas and that sort of thing. So this one is, as you might know, it's Been Caught Stealing by Jane's Addiction. Dave Navarro is the guitarist for that band, great player. So I'm just going to kind of show some of the cool ideas in this solo, so maybe you have some vocabulary that you can maybe throw into your own stuff. So I'm going to switch over to a clean channel so you can maybe better see and hear what's going on here. So the solo, it starts off, I should say it's in the key of G. And really, it's a real simple bass line that's going on. The first section, they're playing over like a G7 kind of harmony. So it's got a real strong kind of G7 sort of sound. The next part of this solo, there's a where there's a modulation here, or not a modulation necessarily, but the harmony is a C7 instead of G7, so, you know, take it somewhere else, give it some variety. Then, later on in the solo, we have this kind of sort of dominant thing, going from B7 to B flat 7 to B flat 7 again. Now, as a disclaimer, you might have noticed I played that as power chords while I was playing the solo. And I think if you're playing with a real high gain tone, it sounds a little bit better to do the power chords. But on the recording, you're getting these dominant seventh shapes. So anyway, now back to the solo. It starts off kind of with your this pentatonic box, and maybe if you're familiar with the major pentatonic, some of those notes are used as well. So it's a combination of your minor blues scale and your major pentatonic notes, which I like to call the my girl scale. Anyway, so it starts off with this real common double stop bend type thing that's kind of, you know, you hear it a lot in blues, country, and rock as well, metal too. So that's what's going on. It's 5th fret and 6th fret, and you're bending the 3rd string while holding down the 2nd string. And it just kind of teases that double stop bend. And then does like a chromatic enclosure. So what that is would be like your 5th fret to 3rd fret. Then the note that you're encircling there is the major 3rd of the chord. So that's that beginning part. Now the next idea just goes down your blues scale, but ends with that major 3rd there at the 2nd fret, B. So you can hear lots of nice combination of major and minor kind of juxtaposition, which is, you know, common in bluesy playing over dominant 7th chords. Right, so I'll do that maybe at about halftime, that first phrase. Sounds a little too fast. Ready? Go. Alright, so the next idea is a common thing that I've heard Dave Navarro do. Live, I remember seeing when he was playing with the Chili Peppers, he did something similar in his live solo to Airplane. And what he does is he'll just kind of like put vibrato on a note and kind of give it some pinch harmonics, or he might do something like that where he's sort of teasing a bend. So in the case of this song, he's taking this low F note and just really shaking it with the left hand to get that vibrato. And you can get away with playing the rhythm a little bit sloppy here just because of the chaos. It still sounds good, I think, just as a side note. So that's what's going on. And you want to try to get some pinch harmonics happening too while you're kind of teasing this low note. Alright, so that's that idea there. Now the next idea is sort of another major minor chromatic enclosure type thing. So it's a blues scale lick, but we're ending and resolving with the major third again. So it's pick, 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 and then that's a bend with a pull off on it. Resolve to that. Alright, now to sort of shift gears with this solo, and this is a really good thing to do just to kind of build tension and just build interest with the solo. He basically takes his solo up an octave, up to the pentatonic and major pentatonic positions up here, an octave up. So the next lick is he's basically grabbing a chunk of a G chord. So basically, if you think of your bar chord shape, this is just the fifth, fourth, and third strings. So he's sweeping through that. So the B note is the target note that hits on the beat. So that lick slow. So it's kind of a long one. So one cool thing that happens is another common double stop bend type thing is if you're working in terms of pentatonic. So this would be the 17th fret of the G and B strings. And guitarists like to either bend these both a half step, so you get that sound, or you get that sound where one string, the higher string, is bent just a half step, and the lower string is bent a full step. Now, a lot of guitarists like to do that type of thing with one finger, usually the ring finger, and I've never had any luck with that. So I use both the third and the fourth fingers to grab those notes. So like that. That's up tempo. Alright, so the next thing that happens, also as a disclaimer, I played this a little bit differently than the record as well. I'm playing this with a little bit of delay, and it sounded a little sloppy if you do exactly what he does in the recording with delay, like the notes kind of blur into each other a little bit. So I did change that a little bit. And if you want to check out some transcriptions, like I transcribed through the original solo, so you can get the tabs. Just email me, and I'll send you the transcription of the original solo and a transcription of exactly what I played too. So you can kind of see what's different. But anyway, it's just kind of some pentatonic ideas with some bends here on high strings. So that's the first little bit there. And then what happens is just a real fast kind of smear of notes. What I did was that it's a sequence. Now this is something that Dave Navarro uses a whole lot in his solos. Like, I would say maybe a third of them will feature this type of thing. Not this exact sequence, but a similar sequence. So a sequence is just a repeating pattern. In this case, we're taking the Dorian mode. So would be your Dorian mode. I didn't start it on the root note, I started on the third. Anyway, so what I did was a 3-note sequence. So I'm descending those 3, then those 3, then those 3, and then kind of finished it with a a little idea there in D Dorian to wrap it up, or sorry, G Dorian. Being slower. So it's a slightly different idea that kind of works there, and sounds a little bit tighter if you've got delay on. Alright, now the next thing that happens is a real cool lick. It's got this sort of ugly major second sound here, holding a B flat and a C. So it's got this chromatic line going down, and this is here, you can hear it's starting to outline that C7 harmony. And it's just kind of this descending type thing that's you hear in blues a lot, but he's kind of picking the notes individually. So there, yet another chromatic enclosure there with a this time to outline the third of the C chord. And actually a very similar lick that we see at the beginning of the solo. So instead of coming down to the third, he's playing the flat 7 of the chord. At the end of the lick there, the B flat. So going through that part again. Slow. And now we get the power chords, or the dominant 7th chords. Alright, now we're going to do a little C minor, C major pentatonic thing. Yet another chromatic enclosure. So that's that part. And now some C minor pentatonic stuff. So that's a really cool idea. It doesn't necessarily lay under the fingers really nicely, but it's just kind of a cool unorthodox sort of phrase in minor pentatonic. I guess it has a note there from your I guess you could think about it as Dorian, if you want to analyze it that way. Right there. So then closes out with this big dramatic bend with vibrato and another. And then that's where the track kind of breaks down back into the, I guess, sort of like a re-intro type of deal. All right, so I'll run through the solo clean again, at tempo, then slower, then I might throw the overdrive back on and maybe talk about tone a little bit. All right, so here we go. try to do it slow and try to keep this as in time as I can. Not so good there. Alright, so there it is. Now to, I guess, kind of close it out with tone and kind of recap what we've talked about. So what I took away from this personally as a guitarist when I learned this years and years ago were the, I guess, kind of some of the double stop bends, the chromatic enclosure ideas, and then this sort of fast smear of notes that Dave Navarro frequently likes to do. Those are kind of some things that I've taken away and I guess sort of stolen and used on my own, so I encourage you to do the same. Now with tone, I'm playing through a dual rec, and that's, I believe Dave Navarro plays through like a Marshall JCM, which fairly different amps. With the dual rec, I've just got the third channel going, or what you can do is use the second channel and just crank up the gain, or put like a overdrive. Dave Navarro plays with a tube screamer these days for saturation. I looked that up, and I think he used to use the Boss DS2, the orange pedal. So anyway, you want to get like a fairly saturated tone. I mean, this is, you know, early 90s and coming off, everybody was, you know, in LA was kind of playing with the Van Halen tone, so very, very saturated. I put some delay on there to thicken it up, so you can hear just a real short, or not many repeats, rather. And you can probably hear the little bit of reverb I have on there. So yeah, other than that should pretty much do it. So again, here's the solo. Enjoy, and check out some more of these videos that I'm doing. Thanks. Alright, see you for the next one.